All right, I think we're good. All right, hi guys, welcome back. Week 3. Who is this their first week? Is it just you? Eli, don't start. Okay, cool. I'll send you the exam objectives later. Okay, so it's Tuesday. I was told to remind you guys that we have just over 3 weeks left of school. So good luck on your finals. I think that's it. If you live in the dorms, final day is the 25th. All right, so to go over what we did last week, we reviewed access control, network fundamentals, social engineering, and the human factor. That was weird. Incident response basics, and consultant activity. Who remembers the consultant activity? I think that was fun. But we do have some more hands-on activities this week that I think are actually more fun than that, because I didn't really think about how we would present that, but it worked out. Any questions about things we did last week? Cool. All right, so we're going to start off today with cryptography. I think it's probably one of my favorite subjects in cyber. And cryptography is securing data through encryption. There's a lot of different ways to encrypt things. Can anyone give me a brief explanation of what encryption means?
To disguise data.
Disguise data. Yep, that's it. Hiding it, yeah.
Hiding it. For people who don't need to see it.
For people who don't need to see it. But what if I do see it?
You just have really shitty encryption.
Close. So encryption isn't to hide data, but it's to prevent someone who gets access to the data from reading it in the first place. The internet's a big place. When I send something to Matthew over the internet, anyone in this room can really see my traffic there, and they can say, oh, Lochlan's sending something to Matthew. What's he sending Matthew? And if I have good encryption, if I have end-to-end encryption, that means the only 2 people who can read the data there are me and Matthew. Hi, Austin. So there's 2 parts to encryption. There's the encryption portion and the decryption portion. You really can't have encryption without decryption, or else there's no point to encrypting it in the first place. So the first type of encryption is called symmetric encryption. This is where the same key, like the algorithm used to encrypt it, is used on both ends. So that means, like, let's say I'm sending a message to Finley, and I want to say, hey Finley, the secret meeting's tomorrow at noon or something. And I want nobody else to be able to read it. Let's say I shift all of the letters over by 12. That's called a Caesar cipher. I shift all the letters over and I send it to Finley. And I discussed with Finley ahead of time, in person, that I was going to use a Caesar cipher. Excuse me. A Caesar cipher. So Finley knows to reverse all the letters back by 12, and then he gets the original message. So symmetric encryption is I shift to 12, he shifts at 12, like the opposite direction. That's the basics of symmetric. Can anyone see what would be wrong with symmetric encryption? Like, what's the danger of that?
I mean, if somebody were to get that one key, then it compromise the whole.
Exactly, yeah. So symmetric encryption, the biggest problem comes from when a outside force gets access to a key, because it's all transmitted over the internet. Let's say I couldn't meet with Finley in person. Finley lives in Australia. I can't meet with him in person. So our communication is over the internet. Someone monitoring our traffic sees me tell Finley, hey Finley, I'm going to use a Caesar cipher to shift it over by 12. And then they can say, okay, well, I want to do that back. I want to reverse that Caesar cipher. So that's the biggest problem with symmetric. It can be good in some cases, like if you know that nobody else has the key, like me and Finley discussed in person. There's no way someone could have taken it in transit. I'm going to give it 1 second for our 2 friends to get started. Any questions about symmetric encryption? Also, my example of a Caesar cipher is not commonly used in actual encryption. It's just an example because it's easy to do with like a pen and paper. And the opposite of symmetric encryption is asymmetric encryption. This is where, I think this is probably the most secure version. Have you ever heard of RSA encryption? So RSA is the most commonly used standard for encryption right now over the internet. And it's when you have plain text, and I have a public key and a secret key, okay? So when, let's say Finley wants to send a message to me, he goes, hey Lochlan, what's your public key? And I say, oh, here you go. So Finn gets my public key, he takes his message, and he encrypts it using my public key that anyone can see, sends his encrypted message over to me, and then I use my private key to decrypt it. It doesn't make a lot of sense when you say it out loud like that. But these key pairs are a special kind of algorithm. You generate keys. Your computer has to do a lot of math to make keys in the first place. It's not just like something that happens. We're going to do an example of asymmetric encryption later to make it a little easier to comprehend exactly how that works. But any questions about the concept? Cool. So next up is going to be hashing. Hashing is not encryption. This is a mistake that some people make in cybersecurity. When you hash something, you are not encrypting it. Anyone can run a hash function to check what the original was and kind of reverse it. The point of hashing is to determine that the contents of a file or message have not been altered. So we're going to do a quick try it yourself. I want you guys to check out this link. It's cyberchef.org. This is an outdated version of a GitHub project because this .org domain has it from 2 years ago, but it is up to date. If you check out their actual GitHub, they released this from 1 month ago. You can actually download this to your computer. Cyberchef is an open source kind of data platform where you can mess around with data in a lot of different ways. So everyone see the recipes on the left side where you can kind of drag them in there? So I want you to look for the one that's called MD5. You can search that up in there. It's MD5. And I want you to drag it into your recipe box. Raise your hand once you got MD5 in your recipe box. Okay. All right. So now I want you to type in the message dinosaur. All right. Can someone read out to me the hash that you get when you type in dinosaur?
It is a 756FE9011E BBC A81C00D59FCD846EF2CA.
So that same combo should be on all of your Cyberchef panels right now, right? If you don't see that, it's probably because you spelled dinosaur wrong. So now I want all of you to add a single extra X to the end of dinosaur. Notice how the entire hash changed completely? There's not a single byte that looks the same. So that is what the point of a hash function is. When I'm sending a message to Finley, and I want to make sure that he gets my complete original message with no problems whatsoever, I also send him a hash with. So I send the hash of dinosaur to Finley, then I send dinosaur, then he can also hash the word dinosaur and check, does the hash I was sent and the hash that I did myself match? And if they do, that's how you know that it was unchanged, unedited. We talked about this a little bit last week with non-repudiation. This is how you check that a message hasn't been altered. It's exactly, I'm going to turn the music down. Hasn't been altered. It's exactly the same as it was before. You can't really take it back because we can see this is what you sent. It was unedited. Any questions about hashing? All right. So, I didn't realize we went back. So, we're going to do an activity. We're going to split into 2 teams. You guys need to figure out how to make them equal yourselves. I want team 1 to go over here, team 2 to go over here. Figure it out. Yep, stand up for this one. the walls. You gotta be opposite sides. You guys are going against each other.
Why do you make this so difficult? You motherfucker. Sorry, I was in front of the camera.
Alright, we do the same on the ball side.
My bad. Brian, the one person that's watching.
It's good enough. Alright, so, team 1. Your goal, I'm going to go sit right over here next to team 2. And your goal is to get a message to me somehow. They can see whatever you give me, but you need to get a message to me that only I can read, that they can't figure out. But I'm going to sit right here, and anything you whisper to me, they have to be able to hear it. Anything you hand to me, they get to read it. And you have to figure out how to get a message to me that only I can read. So I'll give you guys a couple minutes to think about it. You guys are going to do the same thing afterwards. Now you got to brainstorm. So guys, how are you going to do? Ready to crack it going? Any idea if you're writing down something? Why? Because you wouldn't encourage me? We think I would have Yeah. 1-0. 0-1.
Right there with your broken card real quick. And choose either side you want to join.
Oh yeah, what message? Do we have to make a message for everyone?
Yeah. You are allowed to write things on paper, but anything you hand to me, they will also be able to read.
Better not just take that.
I only speak English. Yeah. You don't speak French. And a little bit of French. I do have a way in mind.
What's our?
That's the game.
All right. Are you gonna be our scribe?
No.
So you guys are trying to send him a message.
What's the team name?
In front of all of that.
We gotta
They
make
can't
that
understand what Lochlan is.
So like if you try to whisper to him, they don't have to hear it. If you try to do anything, they all. So you try to figure out a way that they won't know what you're doing.
What did you say the thing was called?
That is symmetric encryption. You probably shouldn't. Because then
He doesn't know how what you're doing.
so therefore you should just do so.
What if we did something more language based, like synonyms for what we do?
That's the
By the way, things I tell back to you, they don't get to see. So you can ask me for information that they don't get. I'm not gonna give you things, but you can ask things about me.
Oh, if we did pictures, those are completely up to interpretation.
that's not the point of this activity. So the point of this encryption.
Like really simple shit. You can ask him, like, give us only you would join a number because they're not gonna know what number he gives us.
Okay.
And you can shift by that number. Give him like a shifted message and tell him like this is the number.
Can we ask him? Can we ask him that? Okay. Do you want to ask him?
Alright.
So if we ask you something, you tell only us.
Yeah.
Let's say give us a number that you like want it.
Okay.
Whatever you want.
You can try that.
We're just gonna shift it by the number, the message by the number of letters. Is it that many letters down or that many?
I can't tell you. Well, now you know.
Do we write? You know how I usually write?
What?
Should we write our should we take our message and then change each letter to the number of letters before? We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Okay, alright.
11.
Yeah, but everything is already in. They have.
Yeah, but you give us a number that they don't know.
It's a long story.
So just to tell us.
You shift it however.
You have to get,
That makes sense.
you got money from
This
this.
is. So you said
Then
now.
when's Lachlan's birthday?
And you're not allowed to talk about it.
Started pulling up so bad, I can't recognize it. Do you guys want to put on my Instagram?
Alright.
This is Team Lochlan fan club.
Are we supposed to?
Perfect.
So is that?
You want me to get one?
No. Actually, I'll put it on.
You're completely blocking some of my view. There you go. Awesome.
That's cheating. You're not supposed to make them all smile when you get good pictures.
I got
You
one
get
without
bad
them
pictures.
looking. I got one without them looking
You
too.
get really bad pictures. Looks like somebody
I got one
started
with your
to-
mouth completely open by accident.
Okay, it's still.
Yeah,
And
I'm
then we can
Yeah, it's
Yeah, but that's his main.
I'm just taking the time and
But
then
make sure you tell them it's
It's,
backwards.
it's just this
Oh,
really
do we have to tell them that? Yeah, just tell them it's backwards by the number you gave us.
Yeah,
Okay.
he pays like $1.
Yeah, if you guys want to come to the room,
Let's all go.
figuring out like how to have
Mage's
this
tone.
for the rest of the semester.
Bro, that's a skull. Literally, bro. That was money.
go back.
Dude, check out the potential gigs.
Okay, guys,
Potential gigs for next year.
they told me to go backwards.
It's like right over by University of
You're allowed to see it too. Well, I figure out what this is.
That was my idea, by the way.
I gotta get a pen and pencil.
I will
I
see,
understand
so,
what you're saying.
how did the value over there?
But it,
Are you
but
sure?
it's right.
Are you sure?
But we did
I
it
should
right.
check this out. That'll screw us.
I know where you should use something like that.
You need so much capital for that.
Oh, yeah. Let's go become the profile.
You said bad, I got bad.
April Fool's profile picture, social media menu,
There you go.
base.
How do you know you're a true engineer? You have to eat during a meeting.
I gotta reuse this laptop.
That place is like right across the street from the police station, though, so. Ain't no one gonna break through a house across the street from the police station.
Scott. Some head deep.
Yeah.
Looking through the window.
Ghetto is
We should open the window shade on here.
Oh, he's on the phone.
That's the Vine. The Vine is like. The Vine is nice. I like that.
I'm just trying to fucking
You guys can
from
use
this
USB.
USB.
This is for you. I'm gonna give you 2 more minutes. 'Cause I finished.
No, I just want to USB. Why the hell? Why do you have to make it so hard?
If you need a laptop or something, you
Got it.
Yeah.
I'll let you know.
Yeah.
That's how you can use for this. What do you guys do?
So she actually.
You can ask me for
How you do that shit?
Watch it.
Yes, I did. What did you get?
So, like what you said, the before the shit.
It asks for a Caesar box cipher. You want
Better than
something
a
to put a
25,
Caesar cipher?
bro.
You use the cipher.
No, I didn't get one.
D-C-O-T
Doesn't want
dots.
to go
F R.
into
Decode
It was
that.
good.
It's in
That's a USB.
yeah.
Stick it.
I got like an 80. They have 2. I took that shit.
What is it?
There's no hard feelings. It was just generic.
That's okay. Who came up with it?
Huh?
Who came up with it?
Somebody.
Thanks, Matthew.
I don't even know the message. So. Yeah, this is the fucking boot.
No, you have to find Caesar.
Oh.
That's okay. It's got the
Like, it's just the LV that
Oh, there you go.
that will boot into Windows. You just boot it in.
So are they like coming up with a message now?
Oh, they're still
figured it
trying.
out about 1 week. SARS?
They're still trying to make that message.
Oh, okay.
AI to figure it out.
Figure it out.
We should have stopwatched it.
Are you on Mac?
See how long it takes. Oh, that's probably what it to use
They're still trying to
several.
with AI.
It keeps connecting to my headphones. God damn it. Because I have Bluetooth still on.
No. I'm telling you, this is not a secure way to transmit the message.
It is.
No.
It is not.
But so long as they don't, as long as they can't figure it out.
They will figure it out, given a little. What is it?
You suck.
I do so. Yeah. That's what they said.
How did you get that?
AI got it.
AI got it.
So I'm gonna say that's a failure.
But we knew it was a Caesar ship. So.
Yeah, because you asked me that, it was very obvious there was a Caesar ship. And now that they knew what it was, they could brute force it back.
And you said right to left, so that kind of helped as well.
Alright, now you guys go back over there. You gotta come up with a team name now. Team Lochlan Fan Club. You guys have to come up with a way to transmit to me and go over there.
Did they come up with that team name?
They did.
Oh,
Lochlan Haters.
us?
Lochlan Haters. Okay, the Lochlan Haters. You have to try and pull.
Oh.
Well, that's because you
That's
saw.
the name there.
Alright guys, how do we feel about that one?
I think it's a little.
You know, it was a good first try. It was like we were testing the water, see how much we could get away with. And we were pretty successful for a good couple minutes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
We could just see if we wanted
How about-
to take a little more time. We could have just done asymmetric encryption, but I'm too late.
That's the whole goal of the sentence.
I know. That's the whole goal. Because he told us to go.
Who did? Tyler.
What?
Tyler knew what the goal of the exercise was.
Yes.
I did tell you.
How about our team name is WRAVEN?
No.
How about WRAVEN?
Are you a part of WRAVEN?
How do you spell W?
Are you here for WRAVEN? How do you spell WRAVEN? The WRAVEN Club?
Here, you guys pose as a team.
Alright guys, it's always up. Team photo, team photo. Lochlan Haters, is that what you are?
What was my mom clothes for today?
Lochlan Haters?
Well, that's not
Because they're lying.
They're the Lochlan fans.
Oh, that's what.
Eli inside, you better stand with the team.
No. I'm standing over here.
Okay.
Don't get me.
He said no.
I zoomed in so close too.
Hey, Michigan's a one-party consent state.
It's okay.
You
Here's
guys
your
like my
profile
version?
photo.
The wildlife. Don't read this for me.
Don't worry, it'll be deleted. You will have power to
Hand balance.
post it.
No.
No, I deleted it.
What?
Also, I don't have control of Instagram.
Yeah. It was actually my Sharpie slide.
He does. I got really good photos.
She's dialed in, bro.
You got a diamond sword today?
He does.
Who's
He
gonna
does
see my
profile
photo?
photo for April Fools.
When does it come out?
What?
Huh?
Who's going to see my photo?
I'm excited for that live action How to Train Your Dragon.
Yeah.
You guys have.
It's gonna be interesting, especially with all the stuff that's been like kind of leaked. I want to know what actually happens and not, and if they change it.
Because I remember back in the day when they made the Sonic one and everyone threw a fit and then they changed it.
Yeah.
But I'm also really excited for this little Stitch because it looked like Stitch.
If I need to use a laptop too, I can.
Has anyone? Because I saw the How to Train Your Dragon trailer live action. I thought it looked cool. Did anybody have any problems with
I
it?
think it's the how they did some textures for the dragons or some scenes. Someone who's in our ethics class was like complaining about it on his opinion on it.
How
Like
the textures?
Ryan
What about?
on the dragons. Like how
Ryan was complaining.
he was comparing them to the animation, how like one scene where it's like Toothless got shot down, how his eyes don't look as like scared as it is in the live action cut.
Because it's not supposed to be one thing.
He looked so like into detail. And I'm like, okay.
Have you seen Strong
The only
Dinosaurs?
I
people-
love Brian, bro. Leave him alone. He just likes dinosaurs.
The one thing I
Leave
heard
my
people
bro alone.
not too happy about is that Ashton's hair is not blonde, but the actor looks like Ashton.
Okay.
And it was very interesting to hear people's opinion, like on the internet, obviously. My feed shows up with random stuff. Like I got all the Snow White drama on my feed.
It has a lower rating than Human Centipede does.
Snow White.
Yes. It has 1.5
Disney, like-
on IMDb.
Disney like low-key fired her already.
So I can excuse like differences in appearance, just so long as like the acting and the story portrayal is still
Yeah.
there.
It's not.
It comes to the whole like Ariel too.
I haven't seen it.
Because
I
they
can tell
changed
you
it
it's
and
not.
then do red hair and they're like Ariel's iconic red. We wish they had that.
Yeah.
The
The
person
actor
who's
was Snow White?
who's Astrid, her like people said like her face structure looks like
Actually, it's not
That's
true.
why
I've
they're
probably
like,
seen
just
the
put the
movie like
blonde
4
hair.
times. I have a little sister.
perfect. I was like, so crazy that they got the face structure.
Alright, you guys have
animation.
30 seconds.
Yeah.
They're just Googling asymmetric encryption right now.
How are you guys' classes this week?
Splendid. No, I have a test on Thursday.
It's trying to install
Me
on a
too.
fucking
Me too.
USB.
I got a programming test. What do you have?
Windows 11.
Programming
Programming
test.
test.
Install.
Programming the thing of mine.
Which class?
Bro, look. It's trying
I'm
to
on
install
one
my
now.
USB.
Which language?
All of them.
You don't have to use the
Which
responsive
language do you
lockdown
have a test
browser.
in?
No, you do.
No, I just don't like
I know
it.
when you're on the webcam.
Oh.
What the
Which
I've
fuck?
done
language
it
do you have a test in?
I can't. I'm not gonna.
Two? Are you in
No,
my class?
I'm in
Is it
the
still-
first
Oh,
one.
so it's
Fuck location to install Windows. It's trying to install. I'm like, fuck.
Yeah, I have that, but
Test 3 isn't that bad for CS1. You'll be okay.
I wanna go
I
back.
don't remember it.
Motherfucker.
I just remember that it's.
Who's your?
Alright, you got something?
Dr. Awasana?
Oh, she allows open notes.
Yeah.
She was my favorite professor. She was
Who is it?
I'm just gonna go in.
Take a
I'm
number.
gonna.
1 to 15.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
she's one of my favorites
Is it?
because she actually teaches.
It's the boots. Right?
Oh yeah, you have to share what they asked.
No. They asked, pick a number 1 through 15.
I think there was a reason it was 1 through 15. Like, taking those after that going to 15.
Okay. True force. 15. Get on. See, I could do. Let's see if that. Why are you installing Windows
Alright, you guys are kind of out of time.
because it's for my dad. And my dad does not want to use Linux.
I'm gonna give you 10 seconds before
Bro.
I can sum it up.
Okay.
Five.
Why wouldn't you?
Because I would do it at home.
4.
Yes, but you could. Do you have a meal
Three.
plan?
So I
Do you have a meal plan?
Okay, come here.
I live on campus.
Yeah.
You have to bring it to
You
me.
could just take it in the library.
Yeah, but that's what I was debating. Like,
We failed in here?
I mean, it's probably still gonna be like.
Because I
Ryan,
think
how far away is home?
Gave him like 2. You gave him 2 years to
I live at 58 plus.
Now,
Oh, shit.
they're writing
Well,
it
no,
down now. I'll
the reason why
count
I'm
that.
debating it is 'cause
Transmitting the
I
message
took
takes some
semester
time.
for the DOT.
I want to reformat this.
I'm maybe not going, so then I don't feel the pressure, and then like actually can remember how the fuck to do a DOT again. But then put it in the back of my mind.
God, system
And then
restore all
whatever
of
works.
this.
Well, you have 2 practicals, so you're this week and the next week, and then before week 14, because we're on week 12 is that.
Okay.
I double checked on the syllabus.
I'm gonna grab my
If they did the
laptop.
same thing, this would be hilarious.
Suddenly, I'm using your laptop.
Mine has a slash.
Or like,
Yeah, I mean, people learn in different ways. I would say do whatever you think
Is that-
will work best for you. And
A little bit behind that though, because I save my projects all the time.
yeah.
I've been doing C, so it's not like I'm not used to coding, but my mind's in C right now.
Yeah.
So it's like, I did a lab exercise, and I caught myself, kept trying to put the dot and comma for C. And I'm like, no, one thing.
We got it.
Did I love you?
Yeah.
What was
That
it?
was funny.
Yeah, I don't even need to encrypt it.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Which one do you use?
Okay, let's just
That's
don't do that.
Pick the same one to try and trick them.
I got
Same number too.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm like scared for it because last semester I was a single line of code off.
that sucks.
Adam felt so bad for me.
Okay.
He even told me, he's like, save your projects. I'm like, got it.
All right. Everyone back to your seats. Good try, Lochlan fan club.
You win because
Yeah.
All right. So, what did we learn here about symmetric encryption?
Sucks.
It sucks. In a perfect world, this activity was kind of meant to be hard to do. Some solutions that I came up with to do it asymmetrically would be you take something like my birthday and then have your message shifted over each letter by my birthday or something like that. And the point of this exercise was to see if you have information that only I know and other people around me don't, you can really do something asymmetrically. But something that we could do if we had a little more resources in the room is, let's say Team Lochlan haters wanted to transfer me a message. They could say, hey Lochlan, we need a lockbox from you. I say, okay. And I give them an empty lockbox that's already open. And they write a message down, they put it inside, close the box. Because you don't need a code to close a lockbox. They close the box and they send it to me. Anyone along the way can look and see, oh, there's a lockbox, but I don't know the code to the lockbox. So they can try. But let's just say it has 256 characters in the code, because that's what 256-bit encryption is. Well, then that leads to it's impossible to try. The world's best supercomputer could never do it. That's why the problem with quantum computing is coming up. Q-safe encryption, that's a whole separate issue. But then when that lockbox gets to me, I can open it, I can read the message. Do we understand asymmetric encryption better? Cool, kind of, yeah? All right. Authentication, next up. This one's a little more fun. And actually, they're like the same thing. Authentication is, first thing I have up here is passwords and a PIN. Who has a password or a PIN on their computer? Who has a password or a PIN on their phone? Why do you put that there?
Because people,
People can't steal your shit.
they're gonna have a hell of a time finding
And
you.
if I need to get into your computer, what do I need?
My hand.
Oh, God.
Need your password, right? So let's say I'm trying to get into your Google account. What do I need? You have a password for your Google account?
Yeah, a password.
So let's say you go to a fake site, you talked about phishing on it, you type in fake password, then I can log into your account. So that brings up our next thing, which is biometrics. Who has a biometric scanner, either a face or a fingerprint reader on their computer or phone? So for biometrics, could I get into your computer if you use biometrics? No.
If you took someone hostage.
Yeah.
There are ways. You know, actually, if you hold the power button down on like an iPhone or an Android, it disables the biometrics, so if you've been taken hostage, it will no longer unlock the phone.
Hilarious, isn't it?
Yeah. Biometrics prevents someone else from logging into you because it checks to see who you are. There's a couple different methods of authentication. The first one is something you know. This is important. This is like actually on the test, what I'm saying right now. Something you know, something you have, somewhere you are,
Something.
kind of, phone doesn't kind of. Those are like the three big things. Something you have, something you know, somewhere you are. There's also like a fourth kind one, but that one doesn't really count. Those are the important ones. So, has anyone ever like tried to make a transaction with their card in like a different country or a different place, and your bank was like, "What the fuck?" and like blocked the transaction? Anyone ever had that?
Yeah.
So that's because your bank is communicating with the card reader and it's saying, "Well, where are you?" And it says, "Oh, I'm in buttfuck middle of Idaho," and they're like, "Oh, I don't think Lochlan lives in the middle of Idaho." So your bank says, "Okay, we're going to disable that transaction." So that's somewhere you are. It's not used as commonly, but most logins will keep track of where you signed in. Security key. Who knows what a security key is? Anyone have a security key? Here? No? Alright, I have it. So a security key is a physical key that you can use to sign into an account. So this key is from a brand called Yubico. They're, I think, the biggest manufacturer of them. Google makes a similar one called the Google Titan key. And the point of a key is when I go to log into like my Apple account or my email account or my password manager or my website management account, all of them require this physical key to be plugged into the computer. There is a code that the website has. Remember how we just talked about asymmetric encryption? The website has my public key for this key, and this key contains the private key. So when I go to a website and my YubiKey checks, okay, what's the public key? If the public key matches, then it says, okay, here's my private key. But the thing is, the private key never actually leaves the device. So the website transmits it to the key, and then the key transmits like an OK message. I had a diagram, but it was a little confusing to explain. The point is, the key makes it so that only if you physically have the key, you can log in. It prevents phishing entirely. You can have my password, you can be on my computer, but if you don't have the key, you can't log in. Make sense? This is like the best anti-phishing tool that exists. Next up, we've got passkeys. Who has heard of a passkey, even if you haven't used one? Okay. So passkeys are a new solution that's being designed to replace passwords. A passkey, when you go to some websites now, they'll say, hey, do you want to set up a passkey? And instead of having to type in a password and then write it down or remember it, a passkey generates a code similar to the YubiKey that's stored on your device. And whenever you go back to the website, instead of having to type in a password or something,
Auto logs you in.
it pretty much auto logs you in, exactly. Your computer transmits the code. It can only transmit it to the correct site. There's no full standard for it yet, but it's impossible to phish a passkey. You can't ever steal someone's passkey. But it also brings up, well, if someone's on my computer, then they have my passkey. So there's the security flaw with that. Any questions about passkeys? Cool. SSO, who knows what this stands for? Single sign-on. Can you explain what single sign-on is?
Isn't that, sorry, I'm trying to think, isn't that kind of what like the passkey was? Where it's like one-time sign-on or something? I'm trying to think.
I'm looking for why we have it.
So like similar to like signing up with a Google account?
Signing with a Google account is similar to it. Anyone else know? We use single sign-on here in Western.
Oh, isn't it like you just sign into your like Western account once and it kind of has a session token?
Exactly. So single sign-on is where you sign into a service one time. Like, it's called a federation. That's a term you will need to know as well. It's like the point of contact. So you'll notice it sometimes when you sign into a WMU, that WMU sign-in screen. When you get redirected to a site afterwards, you might see a little thing pop up in the URL that says federation.wmish, whatever. A federation is what manages the single sign-on point. And a single sign-on allows you basically access all services under the single sign-on umbrella. The federation transmits a key on behalf of you when you go to connect to a service, and that's what actually logs you in instead of you having to type in a password for your Microsoft account, and a password for your Google account, and a password for your campus labs account, and a password for your Experience Student U. Your one password works with the federation on everything. Any questions about single sign-on?
Actually, question about passkeys. If someone were to remote into your computer, then could they get into all your accounts?
Technically,
So,
so I will show a passkey later because there's a weird way it works. But essentially, what a passkey does when you go to like Amazon, because I have a passkey set up for Amazon, and my computer says, hey, what's the URL of this site? Checks the browser, it sees, okay, it's Amazon.com. That's the correct site that I set up the passkey with. And then Amazon sends me a public key, and I say, okay. And then my computer does a little bit of math with my private key and the public key, and it transmits back with the final hashed out one. That is a unique key that no one can ever get. The only way to get it is to combine my public key and my private key. Amazon already has the public key, I have the private key. The private key never leaves my computer. That's why it's unstealable. When you go to a site, even if it's not the real Amazon, your computer can't transmit it. And there's a lot of reasons that it's unphishable, but
that makes sense, but if someone gained remote access to my computer, then they can go on all the sites. Okay.
Yep. Yeah, just like if someone gained access to my password manager, they can sign into all machines. So, yeah, that's the issue with passkeys.
Is it like, so let's just say they do have like the Federation, if that would be compromised, like some bots or stuff like that, that will just grab information as people are just going from site to site, would that kind of be a compromise to your password?
Yeah, if the Federation at WMU was compromised, we'd have probably no internet services for a while. That'd be a big problem. The Federation is usually the most locked down point of a single sign-on system, so I wouldn't be too worried about it. But yes, if the Federation was compromised, it could compromise every user account. Any other questions? Cool. And that all leads back to, these are all parts of MFA. MFA is multi-factor authentication. Yep. So multi-factor authentication is using more than one of the methods listed above. So you know how when you do single sign-on, you type in your username and password? Well, that's something you know. And then you know how it asks you for a duo password or sometimes a duo approval? That's checking for something you have. So right there, that's the two methods. So that's multi-factor already. It could also check for a passkey. That counts as multi-factor. It could check for biometrics because that's something you are. You're right, something you are is there. I forgot what it was. So that's how it works. Any questions about what MFA means? Cool. All right. So now we're going to talk about vulnerability management. This is the last topic we're going to go over today because I have a bit of a hands-on presentation about this. Vulnerability management is the cycle of cybersecurity at an organization. The first step, even though it looks like this is a cycle, it is a cycle, but the first step is assess/scan. It's where you're looking for a vulnerability, you're looking for a threat, and you're finding it in the first place. You can't fix an issue that you never knew was there. Well, I guess you could, but unlikely. So that's the first step. And this is done with automated tools usually, or human analysts working to find those vulnerabilities in the first place. And the second step after you find something is to prioritize it. Here at Western, we use a program called Microsoft Sentinel. Microsoft Sentinel is a SIEM tool. Who remembers what SIEM is? We talked about SIEMs. Anyone else? SIEM tool is a system integrity and events monitor. This is what's looking for vulnerabilities. This is an automated scanning tool. And we use Microsoft Sentinel, which is a SIEM tool. And what Microsoft Sentinel is doing is it's on every single computer that is owned by Western. So if you're ever a student employee and you're on a computer, Microsoft Sentinel is running on the background there. If you're on our network, Microsoft Sentinel is monitoring data traffic. And what it's looking for is preset flags. It's got some machine learning stuff now, but it's looking for things that a human decided this is suspicious. So let's say a user downloads a virus and Microsoft Sentinel says, oh, I recognize the hash of that file. That's a really common detection method. I recognize the hash. So I'm going to flag this, and I'm going to flag it as critical. There's a virus actively on this user's computer. So that's part of prioritizing. You can also flag things as non-critical, as mild severity. There's a lot of different ways to prioritize, but this is where you decide, what do I deal with first? Then we have acting. This is where you're actually getting rid of a virus. This is where you're locking down a computer. This is where you're re-imaging something to make sure that there's nothing left on there. Then you reassess. You say, okay, is the threat gone? That's literally all reassessing is. And then improving is improving your detection systems, improving your policies, all of that to make sure that this doesn't happen again in the future. Which something like it probably will. That's why it's a cycle. Any questions about the vulnerability management cycle? I'll give people a second to type, and then I'm going to show you like a scene example. All right, anyone else need more time on this? Cool. So I'm gonna pull up this link here. I actually don't know where this desktop is. Hold on. I have this as a separate screen. I gotta find it. Okay, so I have up here Let's Defend, which is a cybersecurity training platform, and I've got their practice page. This is, I gotta make this a clone. Hold on, it's so delayed. All right, everyone see Let's Defend? Cool. So right here I've got up the monitoring screen, and this is showing me flags. This is what an example of a SIEM tool would look like, and it's showing me flags of things that we're detecting. And notice we have things that we talked about. So we have severity, and that's the assessment. That's when do we have to deal with it, really? When it happens, what happened, the ID, so we can quickly identify what was detected, and then the type. Any questions about the first screen here? Sweet. So we're going to start with, let's look at this first critical alert. So you can see the event ID, when it happened, and what the rule was. Remember, these rules are set by people, and that's what determines suspicious behavior in the first place. Security analyst is like the job role. This is who's dealing with it. So this is the security analyst like queue. And the address of the device that this occurred on is here. Here's where it came from, which is project management at pm.me. Anyone use Proton Mail? Okay, okay. So we know this is coming from a Proton Mail address. It's not coming from the actual department, which is Let's Defend. This is who it was sent to, Austin at Let's Defend. We can see what it was sent about, and there was an attachment, which we can see the hash of here. So we're going to take ownership of this ticket real quick. And now in our investigation channel, we can see all the details and what was actually triggering this. So let's go find this email in our email security page. I have a one-day streak. Come on. I know it's. I just wanted. Come on. I'm so sorry, guys. I guess something went wrong. Okay. Are you gonna work this time? No. I know what to look for here, so I'm just gonna actually take this file hash, which is what was attached. We saw that was the problem. And we're gonna go to virustotal.com. Anyone ever heard of VirusTotal?
Yes.
Splendid. So up here at the search bar, we're gonna actually put in that hash. Take a look at it. Do we think this is a malicious hash? This file is bad.
Probably, yeah.
Probably. We have 29 security vendors that flagged this.
It's supposed to be 0.
It's supposed to be 0.
And
Exactly.
mostly when something is bad, it's more like 8 or 9, not 29.
So that means out of all of the vendors that have seen this, about half of them think that it's bad. These are all antiviruses usually. We have like Bitdefender, Microsoft says it's bad, Kaspersky says it's bad. Those are the ones I really care to check. And the community also says that it's bad. So we're gonna say this is malicious. So we've determined that this isn't a false positive. This is actually like a true security issue. So we're going to go into here and create a case for it and start the playbook. So we know that this is, I'll let you guys pick here. What do we think happened here? Any guesses on which of these it is?
The first option.
First option, why do you say that?
Because technically, probably click on like a random site or something, and you kind of.
It's an email.
Oh,
So it's not outgoing.
Oh, okay.
Any other guesses? The third one? Why do you say the third one?
It's unexpected.
Unexpected. That's a good reason. So we actually don't know off the top of our heads. You want Austin?
No.
Okay. So what we're actually going to do is look up what this vulnerability is. This is the vulnerability code. A CVE is a vulnerability code. So we're going to look that up real quick and see what it is. And this is a remote code execution vulnerability. And the cause, let's see that, impact, remote code, all that jazz. So this is telling us exactly what was happening on the computer. So now we can actually go back here and take a look and say what we think it is. Do we have another response to this? I'm going to go with other. I don't think any of these match up really well with it. So we should probably quarantine this computer. That's the next step we're going to do. So let's go back to our monitoring. This is our investigation. And we're going to find this guy's computer, which is it's Austin's computer. Austin, how could you do this to us?
I didn't go to training. Stealing, stop and think, bro.
So now we're in our endpoint manager, and we can actually go and search up. We found Austin's computer, and we can look at everything that's kind of on there. And we're going to go in and we're going to contain his computer because we know that he's been hacked. So now Austin's computer is quarantined. We're going to go back to our investigation. Where's our case at? I thought we already had that. There we go. So it's other, and now we have quarantined his computer. And we just checked on virus totals, so we know it's malicious. Has anyone else checked this? Well, we know there's no one else on this system checking, so we're going to say it was, oh, excuse me, I read that. Log management check C2 addresses access. It's definitely going to be accessed at this point. I'm going a little fast here because we're out of time. And we've already contained the machine, so we're going to say we did that. Do we have any comments to add? I'm not going to put any. It's bad. I was just trying to give you guys a quick look at what a SIEM tool looks like. So we're going to say we're all done there. And now we'll go back to the case. Say it was closed. It's a true positive malware from let's say 0 click TV. So we got a check mark saying that we did it right. But what we just did there was we got an alert, we checked what caused the alert, we quarantined the machine, and we said what caused it in the first place. This is kind of what a SOC analyst does, this is Security Operations Center. And this is like what an actual job in cybersecurity is. This is an entry-level job. And it's you basically sit there, you watch logs, and you fix security issues as they come up. And it's not super flashy, but you do investigate, and that's kind of what your job is as an analyst. Any questions about like what a SIEM is or what a SOC analyst does?
Is this like the gist of it though, what they do, or is there a little
This
bit
is
more?
really simplified. It's never going to be like we have all of our buttons right here. I can look at logs for any connection at any point, and I can look at everything that everything did. These are all separate tools usually. Here it's all condensed into one spot to make it a lot easier. I can actually even take the file and go into the sandbox and set it up there myself and check what it did. But yes, this is the gist of what the job is. You go through monitoring and you fix things and investigate. Any other questions? All right, next week we will be not in this room. I need to figure out where we're going to be. It was booked by a different club before I could get it. So I will be sending out an email at some point later this week to let you guys know where we're going to be. Next week we're going to wrap up on content for CC, and I'm going to get you guys the final notes that I would recommend you review. And we'll go over some another hands-on activity or two, and then we're going to be all done. If you're interested in learning more outside of what we do in these sessions, currently at Raven we're doing how to hack, like the basics. So if you want to actually learn that sort of stuff, we're doing that right now. You can make an account once you're set up. If you want to join, talk to Finley before you leave.
And also CPF this weekend.
Oh, yes.
At Computer Club Friday night.
We are hosting a Capture the Flag competition this weekend with the Plaid Parliament of Poning. It's the #2 cybersecurity team in the world. So if you want to compete, you don't have to know anything. We will happily teach you how to compete. That's this weekend in Corman Hall 2225 at 6 p.m. I'll be there all night, so you can stop by anytime. And yeah, thanks guys.
If you somehow manage to sneak in without getting your attendance checked, please come see the guy in the green sweatshirt.
Cybersecurity Club is also hosting hackathons.
Yes, Cybersecurity Club is also hosting their analyst. It's not a hackathon, like I asked them.
Or they're calling it
Tech Jam.
Yeah.
Yes. They're hosting their Tech Jam.
That we gotta absolutely blow everybody.
No, but their social engineering event isn't even a
You
social
don't social
engineering event. It's not.
I asked them. You're writing a report to convince someone else they were social engineering and giving a presentation.
It's bullshit. Never mind. I'm not going.
I'm going because I want to win the prize.
What's the prize?
I don't know. I think it's money.
So this is where like I'm thinking
I want to be a social engineer them. This steal the prize before they
Is it?
yeah, that looks fine. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, so how would you get you in the team chat?
We all
HCIC
and you get to do it sometime. Monday.
5:30.
5:30 still going, by the way.
Where's the president?
Computer companies.